Hello everyone, it's Ollie here again. You join me here for our stretch routine, and today we're in a prone and supine position, or facing up and facing down, and we're working into the lower body. So to start off with, we're going to come down onto the mat and we're going to come into our supine position. So this is face up on the floor. We've got our knees bent, and the first thing I'm going to do is start to extend my arms up towards the ceiling. And I want you to take your arms now out by the sides of your body. As you can see, my wrists are in line with my shoulders. First movement we're going to do is a knee rotation. So we're going to start off by bracing through the abdomen, and we're going to roll outwards with the knees so we come onto the outer edge of our foot. So as we come onto the outer edge of the feet, we're going to rotate from one side and then to the other. As you come up, this is exaggerated, you don't want to let your shoulder come up off the floor. So you can see that I'm grounding my shoulder onto the mat and I'm trying to keep the shoulder on the floor. If you find your shoulder is coming up off the mat, then maybe just reduce the movement down a little bit so that you can keep it grounded. So we're going to carry on in this fashion, and with the breathing here, we can breathe in as we go one way and breathe out to return to the center. If it feels okay with your neck to do so, you can start to twist through the head as well. But if this doesn't feel, tongue-tied a little bit, if this doesn't feel okay with your neck, then just keep the head still in the middle. So we're just going to carry on in this fashion. So we've done around 5 or so on each side. And then from here we're going to come back into the middle. So we can just draw the knees in towards our body, and we'll do a few hip circles here. So just circling round in one direction just to release through the hips. After we've done that a few times, we'll circle in the other direction, and then we're going to come into our next exercise. So this stretch now, it's a little bit more advanced. You're going to pick one leg up off the floor and then the other leg. Brace in your abdomen. If you find that your lower back is arching in that position, you'll want to pause at the top and just stay with the first level, the exercise we were doing previously. Otherwise, now you're going to rotate from one side to the other, trying again to keep the shoulder blades on the mat. Again, if it feels okay with the neck, you can start to rotate the head to the opposite side from where your legs are moving to. So as the knees go to the left, the head can go to the right. So we've done around 3 or 4 of those on each side, and now we're going to rest the legs back down to the floor. We can hug the knees in, and here, if it feels okay with the back, you can just give a little bit of a rock from one side to the other. Cool, so the next part we're going to do, we're going to need something, either a band, or you could use a towel or perhaps a belt if you haven't got a strap. I'm using one of these elasticated bands, and we're going to extend our leg now up towards the ceiling. We're going to do a few circles now with the band. So from here we're going to push the heel up towards the ceiling. I'm keeping my shoulders grounded, and I'm now going to start to circle that leg round, a few circles in each direction. So I'll go for around 4 or 5 circles in one direction, trying to make sure as I do this that my hip isn't coming up off the floor, and as we circle round, we're just making the circles as complete as they can be. I'm keeping my breathing constant. You can breathe in for one half of the circle and breathe out for the other half of the circle. So after we've done around 4 or 5 of those in each direction, we're going to come back to the middle. If you find now that you're hunching through your shoulders and your chest is coming up off the floor, you can take a block or a pillow and pop it underneath your head. This will make it a lot more comfortable as we come into the next exercise. So now my shoulders are staying grounded on the floor. Adjust the strap so you've got enough length on it so that you feel that you can extend the leg slightly towards the floor. So from here we're going to come into a dynamic hamstring stretch. We're going to extend the leg down towards the floor, and then we're going to lift it up towards the ceiling or towards your head. You can inhale as you come down, exhale as you come up. Now if you watch the position of my hand, I'm trying not to lift the hips completely off the floor. Keep the hips down and grounded. As you lift up to that top position, you'll find you get a lot more out of the stretch if you can keep your hips down. So we're just working with the breath in this fashion. Breathing out as we come up to the top part of the movement, breathing in as we come down. Say hello to your hamstrings. I'm sure they're tight. So as we come into the final draw up to the top, we're just going to hold it in this top position now. So the next time you come up to the top, just hold it there, and we're going to take a few breaths. So we're ensuring that the leg is as straight as we can be. The body will try and cheat by bending the knee. If you feel your leg is shaking, just ease off the stretch slightly. And to increase the stretch, if you feel that it has eased off as you're breathing, just draw the leg a little bit closer towards you using the band. So we're going to release off there, and we're going to extend the other leg up into the band or into the belt. From here, again, the block is optional, so you can take that away if you find you're not hunching through the shoulders. Equally, if you are hunching through the shoulders, then keep the block or the cushion underneath your head. So we're going to start off with these circles now, circling again as we did on the other side, doing around 4 or 5 in each direction. So you can get a sense here for how the movement of your hip is on this side, if it's any different to the other side. So just keeping that movement going, circling a few directions, circling a few times in each direction, and just making sure you're evening out, so circling the other way as well. As we circle, we're trying to keep that stability through the abdominals, and we're trying to keep the upper body as relaxed as it can be. So as we did with the other side, in a moment we're going to come into that dynamic hamstring stretch. So the next time you bring your leg up to that central position, you just hold it there, inhale to extend the leg down to the floor, exhale to lift it up towards the ceiling, towards your head. As I'm doing this, I've got my arms there just to support, but the idea is we're not gripping excessively on the band or on the strap. As you exhale, you can think about pushing the heel up towards the ceiling. As you inhale, feel that your leg is staying lengthened as you extend it towards the floor. So the next time we come up to that top position, we can just hold it there, and we'll take a couple of breaths in this position. Or potentially not, because I'm moving my leg down again. This time I'm sure we're going to hold it in position. Cool. Okay, so we're holding it in position. Again, you can adjust the grip on the strap, and we'll take a couple of breaths here. So notice the difference between one side and the other. Feel how your body may start to compensate. If you can see in the video, I'm drawing my toes towards my shin. This will lengthen through the back of the leg. For me, on my left side, it's definitely tighter than the right, so it's not surprising if you have one side that is a little bit looser than the other. Okay, so from here we're going to release the strap, just popping it to one side. We're going to come back to that supine position, so face up on the floor, and we're just going to take one knee, bending it in towards us. Okay, so here we're going to bend one knee, hug it in towards our chest. Whichever side that you have that knee bent, you're going to use the arm on the same side to ground into the floor. As you ground, make sure that shoulder stays connected to the floor, and then the knee that we have bent, we can rest the foot of that leg onto the bottom thigh. That'll give us a little bit of support. From there, we're using the bent arm to apply a little bit of pressure on the outer thigh of that bent leg and increase the rotation. Again, if it feels okay with the neck, you can look towards the hand that you have extended along the floor. So we'll take a few breaths in this position, just noticing where you feel the stretch on this side. Remembering, if at any point the stretch feels too intense, you can always ease off using that hand. Equally, you can start to take the stretch further, and here again, to take it even further, you can start to release the foot down towards the floor rather than resting it on the thigh. Making sure, if you are progressing as such, you want to make sure that that shoulder is still staying connected to the floor. So we'll just take one more breath here, and then with control I'm going to return my knee back to the central position, returning my head, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So the knee's going to come in towards the chest, you extend the arm out into that T shape, you can now draw that foot across the body, and we can either rest it on the thigh of that extended leg, or if the shoulder is still able to stay connected to the floor, you're going to rest the foot on the floor to progress the stretch. So we'll take a few breaths on this side, just holding in position, and again, if you feel it is okay with the neck, you can gaze towards the hand that is extended along the mat. Cool, so after we've had a few breaths in this position, remembering that we don't want to feel any shaking or pain in the stretch, we're looking for a slight discomfort. We'll hold here for another breath or so, and then we're going to start to return back to that central position. Okay, so from here we're going to bend the knees again, and from here we're going to come into an outer hip stretch. So we'll take one leg and we're going to cross it over the thigh. From here we're making sure that the toes draw towards the shin of that leg. This protects the knee. You can start to push the thigh away with the hand on the side that the leg is crossed over on. Now this is our first level. If you want to progress the stretch now, you start to pick the leg that's underneath off the floor. If you find as you're doing this, the head starts to come up off the mat, take a block and pop it underneath your head. So we'll take a few breaths in this position. You can always stay with that first level of the stretch if it feels like a little bit too much taking the bottom leg up off the floor, especially if you've got issues with the lower back. You may want to just stay with the foot on the floor. As we're in this position, we're trying to make sure that our pelvis is staying down towards the floor, so we don't want to feel a gap between the hips and the mat as you deepen the stretch. Cool, so now we're going to release the foot down to the floor, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So to start off with, push the thigh away. Even if you're progressing the stretch, feel that you push the thigh away and you're drawing the toes towards the shin to protect the knee. We stay here for a moment, brace through the abdominals, and then if we want to progress, we start to lift the leg up off the floor. Again, the block is an option depending on how tight you are through your chest. If you don't have a block, you can always use a cushion. So here we're going to hold for a couple of breaths. To deepen the stretch, we can think about pushing the thigh that's crossed on top away from us at the same time as drawing the bottom leg in towards us. Just making sure as you are sat in this way that you're not rocking over to one side, you're trying to keep the hips balanced. Cool, so we'll release the legs down to the floor, and now from here we're going to come into, I believe, our final stretch or penultimate stretch. So we're going to switch from a supine position to a prone position. So this is face down on the mat. So just making your way into that position. From here we're going to bend one knee and we're going to draw the heel in towards our hips. So here you're trying to keep the knees in one line so the leg that you're bending doesn't come out to the side. If you find you can't quite reach the foot, again you can use the elasticated band, or equally you can use a towel or something of that nature. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting the strap actually on my foot, so do practice perhaps first before you record a video, mental note to self. Otherwise we're going to hold in that position now. We'll take a couple of breaths here. Oh, I'm done with the band. Okay, yeah, I'm done with the band. So we'll put the band to one side, or equally you can stay using the band if you find that helps. My other hand can be there just to support underneath the head, and we'll take a few breaths here. So we'll release that leg off, and now we'll do the same thing on the other side. So bending the knee, drawing it in towards you. Again, you can loop the strap around the foot if that helps. Now to increase the stretch, you're going to think about drawing your hips down towards the mat at the same time as drawing the heel in towards your bum. So we'll finish off here releasing the leg, and we're going to sink back into our child's pose. We'll take a couple of breaths here just to finish this routine. As we breathe out, we're sinking the hips down towards our heels, and then that's it. Well done everyone, you get a thumbs up from me yet again. I jump up and that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Ollie. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more of the same, go to my Facebook page, which is @OGPilates, or you can visit my website to find out more about what I do, www.ogpilates.co.uk.